What's going on, everybody? I'm Triston Cooper, and on today's episode of Enough Props, we're going over 3D printing, so keep it locked and stay tuned. Okay, run it back. I don't know why you did that. I do not know.
What? Okay, let's go. Come on.
3, 2, 1. Hey YouTube, welcome back to my show.
What? Your show?
Yeah, it's my show.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I am the host.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about 3D printing, and I have my father here, Winston Cooper, to walk us through a few steps and answer a few questions. I'm trying to figure out how he's doing today, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
That's great. That's perfect. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been crafting for as long as I can remember since I was a kid, and making things from anything I could find around the house, mostly cardboard. And this kid here can testify to a lot of things I had made for him over the years. But when I found out about EVA foam, my mind just blew up with the creativity possibilities to the point where I learned to 3D print, and I want to share some of those practices with you guys today.
That's amazing. Speaking of all the things you've created, for everything that you've done already.
Yes.
What's this?
This here is from the anime Naruto, or Naruto Shippuden. This is the Hidden Leaf clan emblem that the ninjas in that anime wear on their body, right? Mostly on their forehead. And I thought this would be a great way to show you guys or introduce you guys to how to create something digitally in a 3D program like Fusion.
Amazing. You mentioned Fusion. Is that the program that you use to create one of these?
Yeah, that is the program that I use to create one of this particular one. There are lots of free programs that you can use, but I find that Fusion C60 was the easiest for me to grasp, and gives you a lot of creative options.
That's amazing. Thank you for that detailed answer. How do you start? What's the process and what's the methods that you use to create something like this?
So whenever I want to create something, since I have a crafting skill set, I pretty much just grab anything I can find around the house that's going to help me get to the sizing of what I'm trying to make. So the closer I can get to the actual size, the better. And once I get that to that point, I'll take pictures of it so I can bring it into Fusion. Once in Fusion, I'll select the work plane, this one here, and then I'll head over to Insert and grab the image that I'm looking for to insert in here. It will load up on the plane that I selected, and then from here I can resize the image to whatever I need. You want to make sure it's exactly the same size as your rough copy, and to do that I use a device called a caliper. This device is an awesome tool, and if you're going to start 3D printing, I recommend you get one of these because it will help you figure out any of the measurements and sizes that you need for whatever prop you're going to be working on in this 3D space. Once I have the image to the exact size I need, I'll select this part right here and go to options, and here I can lower the opacity so that it's more easier for me to get to the next step, which is the sketch.
I see. So you're talking about a sketch at that end part. What is a sketch and how does it help you and how does it work?
A sketch basically is what it sounds like, but this basically gives Fusion the information it needs to create the 3D prop. There are a few different tools you can use when creating a sketch. We won't have time to go through them today, but just know that creating a sketch is the first step and the base for most of the bodies you're going to create in Fusion 360.
How does that sketch and planning turn into a 3D printed object?
Very good question. Now that we have the sketch down, we want to take that and we can basically now extrude it, and that brings it into a 3D body that we can now manipulate to get closer to what we have here on the table.
I see. But now that you created your body, how did you create this indent that you created onto the body of your creation?
So again, we're going to use a sketch. So in the process of the rough draft, I took pictures of all sides of the rough draft, including the design, and I brought that picture into Fusion, and I can use a sketch to trace it to help me embed it into the body.
Okay. You showed us how you indented the body with the Naruto symbol, but how did you make these 6 buttons pop out?
So again, we're going to use a sketch, and we're going to embed it onto the body, but this time instead of indenting or extruding into the body, we're going to raise up these buttons. Instead of indenting him into the body or shooting him into the body, we're going to raise it out, and then we're going to take it from there.
So extruding is indenting, going inside the body. Embedding is enlarging and popping it out of the body.
Exactly. But this is going to be from the surface of the body, which is very important to remember. I forgot to mention, when embedding or extruding, the edges come out very sharp. So to help with this, you can use the fillet tool, which is designed to round out any sharp edges on your design. This is going to make your design look and feel a lot better.
Quick question, did you sketch the 6 buttons onto the body, or did you sketch it separately on a different work plane?
I sketched it onto a different work plane.
Amazing.
Right, that's good deduction there.
All right, thank you. How long is the process to create one of these?
It depends. For me, it's about maybe 2 hours to 3 hours, depending on how difficult it is. But for the most part, if you're just beginning, don't take it too seriously how long it takes. We're all learning, and there are lots of useful guides on YouTube like this one that will show you how to do it. So knowing the terminology is key to helping you find out what you need to do next. So learn as much as you can about it, and that will help shorten the length of how to make your print.
I see. So when you're confident enough, when do you know it's ready to print?
You just want to take a look at the design and make sure there's no gaps or there's holes or no parts that are floating off the body. So you want to make sure it's all together in one unit, and you can look at it to your best ability to see if it's all perfectly attached the way you want to. Once you know that's attached, then it's good to go, and we can bring it to another program to get it ready to print.
But why do you have to send it between 2 programs?
Because the 2 programs are different, right? Fusion 360 or any kind of digital crafting program, any type of CAD program, is designed just for information about what this product looks like, what the measurements are. It's very detailed. That's the stuff that's not designed for a printer. The second program, which is called the slicing program, basically tells the printer how to build this prop.
Amazing. So Slicer is the one that prints the object, and Fusion 360 is how you design it.
Correct.
Wicked. Fusion 360 seems like a really deep program with a lot of options, and it didn't really feel like we went through all of it.
No, we didn't. There are a lot of options, and it's great for basic up to advanced users, and there is really no wrong or right way to do anything. There might be simpler ways to achieve things that you want to do, but again, I think it could be overwhelming for someone who's just starting out.
Amazing. But speaking of someone that's just starting out, do you recommend any programs that are just, how do I say this, a little bit more simple?
For sure. Autodesk, the same company that makes Fusion 360, has another program called TinkerCAD. I told you to look into it.
Yeah, I tinkered it with it a little bit before the making of this video.
Tinkered with it. I see what you did there. And what did you think of it?
Let's just say I may need a little bit more guidance.
Perfect. That's what I'm here for. I can definitely help you with that. And better yet, let's bring in the file that I created and bring it into TinkerCAD so we can try to recreate that.
I'm psyched. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started.
Well, where do we start?
Well, first we're going to open TinkerCAD and bring in the file that we created.
Oh,
Or that I created.
Well, let's get started then.
After you. All right, now that we have TinkerCAD opened, let's import the file that I created. All right, we're going to go to import over there. Yeah. And we're going to choose the file. Let's go to, there it is. And import it. And in the bottom, you can see there.
Importing Leaf Village plate.
Exactly. And as we can see here, let's zoom out a little bit here. You can see there that it's important. Awesome. So the file that I created is able to open in TinkerCAD, as I assumed, because TinkerCAD is made by the same company that makes Fusion 360.
Let's make it presentable, why don't we?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Let's make sure it's 90 degrees.
All right, there we go. Rotate it to 90 degrees.
Now use the black arrow right here to levitate it downwards.
Yeah.
Make sure you get it to 0 so it stands right directly on your work plane.
Yeah, like you said, you've already had some experience with this before.
By the way, I do have a question. Is there any way you can extend your work plane, the little square that you have to work on your crafts?
As far as I know, the work plane here is as big as you're going to make it. Actually, let me correct myself. It looks like you can. If it says you edit grid, you can change the size of the grid that you're working on.
I see.
Okay.
Grid properties, millimeters, I see.
Right, so that way you can keep an eye on what kind of style you'd like to do. If you like millimeters, check the unit size. You can do millimeters, you can do inches, you can do bricks, right? Which I've never seen before. But for the most part, you can do whatever style of measurement you prefer. So let's exit out of this. And that's how you can adjust your work plane.
Good information. Now, how would you make the curvy shape for your imported Ninja plate?
The curvy shape? You mean the curved shape there of the Ninja plate?
Yes.
Easy. For the most part, all the shapes you see on your side there, on the right hand side, those are various shapes that you can use to create whatever you want. But for the most part, they cannot be customized as far as I know. So what the best shape I found to use to create shapes is your own custom shapes is the scribble tool. Yes, you got it. So if you select that and touch the work plate, now you'll be able to mimic the same type of shape I used for my plate there.
So what we'd have to do is try our best to make the curve shape.
Yeah, make sure you selected the pencil there. Yeah.
And let's try our
Good
best.
luck. Not bad. You happy with that?
Could be better, but let's see where it goes.
You can undo it and try it again if you like.
Attempt number 2.
I like that one much better. How about you?
Yeah, this is better. Definitely a better.
You can see various tools at the bottom there. You can erase and like create even more custom shapes out of it.
You can also have your preview up in the top right corner. It allows you to see what's going on with your shape on your work plane.
And how it looks in 3D. We just want to select done.
Okay.
So the size is
definitely not where we want it to
no,
be.
the size is definitely not where we want it to be. So we're gonna make it a little bit bigger by selecting the highest square. Yep. And you can see it tells you by the arrows how to which direction this is going to go. So we want to select it and pull it up.
See the length. If it matches our grid example here. Roughly it.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good.
Let's adjust the length a bit. Same thing. Grab the bottom right white squares and let's pull it.
Alrighty. So what's next, Tristan? What part do you want to recreate next?
Let's try the buttons. The buttons here.
The buttons there? Alright, let's get that going.
Try and push this back so we have more room. So,
Good idea.
looking at the shapes here,
Yeah, which shape do you think best suits the style of buttons that we have on the main model?
looking at everything, I think the half sphere would do us some good. So
The half sphere?
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the circle, but the half sphere actually would be a better choice. So let's bring that in. It's not exactly the same direction, so we're going to try this little tool here called mirror. It's going to be up in the top corner there. Yeah, click on that and then select the arrows in the back. There we go, and there it shows you a preview of where it's going to be, and there you go, it flips it right over. And now we just have to maneuver it onto the plane and make sure that they go exactly where we want them to be.
Check from the back, see if we have any flaws.
Looking good. Check from the top. Looks good. Let's group all these together so we can move it as one. So highlight the whole section, Tristan, select anywhere, but make sure the cursor covers the whole area. Perfect. All right. And then the top corner, you're going to see we now have the option called group. The image there is one shape, and the one beside it has two shapes, which means ungroup. The circle and the square means you're going to separate those, but then we want to group everything we have selected together to make one object. So let's do that. All right, so let's work on the crest, deselect it, and as you can see, it's all one body, all one solid color. And let's pick the scribble tool. Good luck.
We do have the eraser mechanic, which allows you to try again on certain parts that you did mess up on. Rotate. $90 degrees. And if you have a hard time just getting it directly on 90, zooming in does help. Trust me, it does. But this is a solid.
Right.
So how would we get that to indent? Doesn't seem like it'd be indenting, it's more of popping out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that is right. That brings us to the next topic, solid and holes.
So what's the difference between solid and hole?
So a solid is exactly that, a solid object. And a hole is you turning a solid object, whether you've chosen a square, a circle, or even a squiggly line, and turn it into a hole. And we're going to punch that through whatever solid object we have. It's kind of like extruding that we went through before in Fusion 360.
I see.
It's going to be easier for me to show you than it is to explain it.
Let's get into it then.
All right, so let's take this and we're going to select hole. We have it selected there, the design, we're going to select hole, and this should become transparent. Awesome. So now that it's transparent and we have it exactly where we want to push it into our build, our body.
Try to find a good angle where you can
use the cube on the right here. Just click on the top and see if it's lined up exactly where you want. Zoom out.
There you go. Great angle for you to work on.
All right, so get it in there. Let's get a closer look at the back. All right, so it's gone through it a little bit. So let's just make it a little shorter by selecting one of the measurement options, the black square in the center there, in the back, and we're gonna pull it towards us until we don't see it sticking out the back anymore. Perfect.
No.
Let's zoom in now. All right, that's looking good. What's the difference?
One is facing the opposite way.
Right, so how can we fix that?
A mirror tool that we used before can come in handy here.
Yep, let's select that. All right, the back arrows in the back will show you a preview of where it's gonna go. That's exactly the way we want it to look. So click on that. And there we have it. So let's group everything we have together.
Just make sure that you make it to your liking, so you feel satisfied with your Naruto Ninja headband.
There you go.
Alright, but just like we said before, make sure you group it.
So select the whole, everything in that area there.
The whole body itself.
Exactly. And then there we go, group.
Next one. Group. And as you can see, it has been
there we go. We got a cut.
Indented into the body. And that looks pretty identical.
It looks good to me.
That looks good to me too. That looks great.
Fantastic. So we can send this, we can save it, and then what we can do is here export, download and 3D print, and there you have it. You can print your object that you've designed. So, how did you like TinkerCAD? Was it fun, easy, simple?
It's definitely all those things. I could see how TinkerCAD could be less complicated and more on the fun and simple way of things.
Awesome, exactly. It's a free program that you can do from home. Check your local library and see if they have any, if they support 3D printing. I know the Berry Public Library in town, they support 3D printing, and actually they're the ones who introduced me to TinkerCAD. And I know a lot of people have been creating a lot of amazing things over there, so it's definitely worth looking into.
Right. Nice.
What are you doing, boss?
I'm the host.
Since when?
Since the beginning of this video. I was surfing through the internet and I saw some commonly asked questions. You think you can knock out a few of these? Guessed?
I think I can.
Perfect. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's go. All right, man. So, what's the first question?
First question is, what materials can you use to 3D print, and is the materials expensive?
The materials that I use is PLA, and they're considered a very tough material to sand. So when finishing your product, your print, just be aware that sanding PLA is very difficult. There are lots of other ways to finish your product, and I'll link some of the videos up here to know how to sand and finish your product, so it's a lot more easier. But again, I use PLA. You can order them from a lot of different places, and they'll come in a box like this, and inside the box is a spool like that has like all the filament you need. And you just want to be aware of your nozzle size, because this filament here is a 1.75, and that's just the size of the nozzle. Getting something that's too big for your nozzle could screw up your print, so you just want to be aware of that. And there are different types of PLAs and there's PLA, ABS, and they all have different textures for when you finalize the print. But printing a 3D printer spool can be anywhere from $30 to $40 to $50 depending on the type.
Amazing, thank you for that answer.
Next question.
What's the average time to 3D print an object?
A 3D printing object usually takes a couple hours, but again, it depends on the size of your print. If it's very complicated, it can take a long time to print based on the size of it, based on whether it has a raft, based how much support materials are inside of it, how big it is. So get prepared that this is not just going to be popping out of your machine like in 5 minutes, right? It's going to take a minimum 30, but up to about 48 hours or even longer, depending on how big it is, right? So just keep that in mind. Set it in there and forget about it. And keep an eye on it once in a while, because you don't want to make it doesn't want to make any mistakes, because sometimes the printer nozzle can mess up and ruin the print. So just keep an eye on it, but for the most part, set it, leave it, and then come back in a couple of days or hours, and you'll have a nice finished product. Next question.
Is 3D printing cheating for cosplayers?
That's a good question. No, I don't think it's cheating for cosplayers at all. When you create something, it wasn't there in the beginning. So when you use your imagination to create something, whether you do it by hand or you do it digitally on a computer, it's an amazing thing. That thing was not there until you made it so. So I don't discount anybody for whatever method they use. When you go on a computer, you still have to think about all the intricacies and all the measurements that has to go into creating that said thing. And when it comes out of the printer, it still feels great. It still feels amazing that you've created this thing, just like it would if you had done it by hand with foam or any other materials. And you can even combine the two to improve your prop or your cosplay. For instance, this Diva pistol here has 3D printed parts and foam on it. The nozzles is 3D printed, the back end here is 3D printed, the trigger is 3D printed. So you can use 3D printing and foam to make your cosplays or take them to the next level. So I don't think it's cheating, it's just as rewarding, and it's something that people should embrace and get involved in. Next question.
What are some examples that you can create with a 3D printer?
3D printing, you can create anything you with 3D printer, and there are websites online that you can use, like one called Thingiverse that has artists who already submitted their own designs to there as well, and you'll be surprised what you found on there. An example would be this Hulk statue that I got off the one of those websites, and if I remember any more, I'll link them in the description. But you can get something like this and have it printed, and right now it's covered in XTC 3D. Again, I'll link my video up there that explains how to sand and use XTC 3D to smooth your 3D prints. But you can get a structure like this and many other different ones online that you could find something that you're really looking for, and there's so many different options you have online. So there's many things you can print, and you can buy things from other people as well. Shout out to Craftsman for this robot rocket chicken. I forgot what it's called actually right now, but I love this design and I decided I had to get it. He sold out of the original molded ones, so I bought the 3D printed version, sanded it, printed it, finished it, and here we have it. So there's lots of options for you to go and find something that you could find that you would personally love on your own. You don't have to design it by scratch. You can go out and find it, and there are many different things you can print with 3D printing.
That would be it.
That's all?
That's all.
All right then, thank you for watching. If you make it to the end of this video, I just want to shout out the Barrie Public Library for sponsoring this video. Check them out, there are links in the description. Also, you can find some of our favorite books, me and Triston's, in there as well. And if you made it to the end of this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But until next time, keep crafting, have fun. Enough props.